Good morning, children. I hope you all are in the pink of your health, and I believe that you all have understood the previous poem. Now we'll move on to our next poem, which is The Village Schoolmaster, written by Oliver Goldsmith. So, this person, Oliver Goldsmith, he was an Irish poet. He was from Ireland and he was a playwright, basically, that he used to write drama. And he is best known for his novel The Vicar of Wakefield and his long poem The Deserted Village. And the poem that we are going to do today, that is The Village Schoolmaster, is extracted from this long poem only, The Deserted Village. Though recognized as a literary genius, he was also a very disorganized personality. So, on one side we can say he was a literary genius, and on the other side he was a very disorganized person. Now, disorganized why? Because once he thought of moving to America permanently, but he changed his plans just because he missed the ship which he was to take. So we can say that he was quite a disorganized person. So now let me give you a short introduction to the poem. So this poem, The Deserted Village, in this poem Oliver Goldsmith describes about the village schoolmaster of Auburn, right? Auburn is a city in Alabama. So the schoolmaster is a gentleman and he has an intelligent mind, and the poem is humorous, that is quite funny and is full of enlightenment. So this poem, The Deserted Village, is about a schoolmaster, and the village schoolmaster has been extracted from this long poem, The Deserted Village. So let's read the stanza 1 together. Open your books and let us read together. Beside yon straggling fence that skirts the way. Yon means that. Straggling means something that is spread unevenly. Skirts means something that lies along the edge. With blossomed firs unprofitably gay. Here firs means a shrub, right? A shrub which is fragrant with yellow flowers. Unprofitably is without any profit, and gay here means bright. There in his noisy mansion is house, skilled to rule, the village master taught his little school. A man severe he was, and stern to view. Severe is strict and stern is serious. I knew him well and every truant knew. So here truant means the students who bunk their classes, who are absent from the school. Well had the boarding tremblers learned to trace. So boarding here means expecting that something bad is going to happen. The day's disasters in his morning face. So in stanza 1, the village schoolmaster has been described. He runs his little school in a small village, and the poem starts with a description of the location of the school. So the school is situated next to an irregular fence, unevenly spread fence, which is dilapidated and also leaning over. The road leading towards the school is lined with flowers, which are not being admired or appreciated by people. The school is mentioned as a noisy mansion because the schoolmaster is quite strict. He is equipped to manage a class and teaches his lessons there. He is a very strict disciplinarian and is also a stern person to observe. So that the village schoolmaster who has been described here is that he was a kind of person who was a disciplinarian. He loved discipline, and also his personality has been described as strict and stern person. The speaker says, or the poet says, that he and all other truants know him well. So all the students know this village schoolmaster very well because they have undergone the master's rage. They have seen his anger. And the students have learned to sense the mood of the teacher by observing his face. So as soon as in the morning when the teacher comes, when this schoolmaster comes to the school, the children, they sense the mood of this village schoolmaster just by looking at his face, and all the trouble that he has undergone in a day is noticed from his forehead. So whenever you are happy or sad, or whenever you are stressed, there are some wrinkles on your forehead which tell the exact mood of a person. So the same way the children come to know what kind of mood the village schoolmaster has every morning. Next stanza. Full well they laughed with counterfeited glee. So counterfeited is false, glee is smile. At all his jokes, for many a joke had he. Full well the busy whisper circling around conveyed the dismal tidings when he frowned. So dismal is sad and tiding is news. News. Frowned here means seriousness or anger. Yet he was kind, or if severe, in aught. Aught means anything. The love he bore to learning was in fault. The village all declared how much he knew. It was certain he could write and cipher too. Cipher means to calculate, doing mathematics. So here, the schoolmaster is a contradictory person. Although he is strict, he is kind and good humored. He tells many jokes to his students, and whenever he tells some jokes, the children laugh with pretended joy, means they laugh falsely, right, with a false smile. And if they notice any sign of anger on his face, they will spread the news throughout the classroom that the teacher is angry today. But basically, the schoolmaster is a kind man, and if at all he has any fault, it is because of his intense love for reading, because he just want every student to be like him. He has a love for learning. That is why he seems to be angry, but basically he is a very kind man. I hope it's clear till here. The final stanza. Lands he could measure, terms and tides presage. Here presage means predict. And even the story ran that he could gauge. Gauge means to make an estimate. In arguing too, the parson owned his skill, for even though vanquished could argue still. So vanquished means defeated. While words of learned length and thundering sound amazed the gazing rustics ranged around. So rustics are village people, and still they gazed. And still the wonder grew that one small head could carry all he knew. But past is all his fame, the very spot where many a time he triumphed is forgot. So these last two lines, but past is all his fame, the very spot where many a time he triumphed is forgot, is not mentioned in your books, but the poem ends with these two lines actually. So these are an add-on lines from the deserted village. Now the schoolmaster is admired and respected even by the villagers, and everyone in the village praise him for his great knowledge. He can write, he can do mathematics, and he can predict weather patterns and tides also. And it is also assumed that he can do accurate survey and determine borders easily. Also, he can debate intelligently, he can have discussions with the village parson. Who is a parson? Parson is the churchman, right? Kind of father in a church. A person who was greatly respected for his parishioners. The master uses difficult words. So this village schoolmaster, he uses difficult words and emotional language to convince and impress the poorly educated village people. The parson also accepts the master's skill in debate. And sometimes, even after being defeated in an argument, the schoolmaster continues to speak, he continues to argue, and the village people wonder, they really wonder, how his small head could contain so much knowledge. That how one small head can carry this much knowledge that this man, that this village schoolmaster has. So, what we have concluded from this poem is that though this poem presents the pleasant remembrances of the poet about the schoolmaster, the poem ends in a sad tone. The last two lines tell us about the present condition, that the great fame of the school teacher has now become a thing of past, and at present school, where he faced many successes, has forgotten him. So children, what kind of relationship do you share with your teachers, and what do you remember about your teachers? I hope you all should write about it in your notebooks. So after this, you are supposed to do the RTCs of this poem in your notebooks, and in case of any doubt or query, get back to me. I hope the poem is clear to you. Thank you.